Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about business owners and how we need to be thinking about whether we go for clarity or speed in our businesses. I'm Frazana and I'm really pleased to present this video to you because it's a problem I keep seeing whenever I'm on my socials, where people are panicking about what they're going to be doing in their businesses and they start to compare themselves as to what they're seeing on socials, in particular probably LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Meta in general. So how do we get over this? I'm going to talk you through a few bullets just to help you understand the difference between the two and how this is going to affect you as a business owner and what you can do about it. So the business paradox, speed versus clarity. Which way are we going to actually go? So the classic business paradox, do we go for speed or do we go for clarity? So the classic business paradox, are we going to go for speed or are we going to go for clarity? I'm going to talk you through a few bullets now as to how we can actually win in this game and help build long-term sustainable businesses that really serve our mission in what we're trying to achieve and how we can do that authentically. So first of all, the speed chase. What do we end up doing? We start focusing on the actual doing in our businesses and we end up chasing our tail, just going very task-led, running from one thing to the next. This ends up causing us to make reactive decision-making because we don't actually have a plan in what we're doing. We're just literally firefighting from one thing to the next. And so our decision-making tends to be too fast and actually making it very, very difficult for us to stay focused on what our actual core activity is and where we actually want our business to go. Eventually, this starts to catch up with us. We end up in really highly stressed situations within our bodies, triggered nervous systems that can't actually cope anymore, stuck in fight or flight. And we end up potentially leading to burnout. That's a game that you do not want to play with your body and your mind. It's a long recovery and it's something that's going to really, really affect your business. So we really need to find those tools in our own resilience box that can help us to make sure when we start to recognize these signs, we're actually going to be able to catch them early enough. We can also end up with short-term gains. So we're not actually making anything sustainable for our business. We're just firefighting and running from one thing to the next. And although that looks on paper like a vanity exercise, that we might be increasing our turnover, we haven't had the clarity to see that we're not actually making meaningful profits in our business. And of course, if we're always firefighting and always running around on a speed mission, we risk making really major errors in our business because we haven't stopped long enough to have the foresight to see whether a decision is going to actually lead us to a meaningful result. So let me take you through some of the clarity advantages. Well, this will help us because, first of all, we're going to actually focus on understanding what we're doing. So this will give us that clarity that the decision we're making, whether that's a big decision or a small decision, is that going to align with the total outcome of what we're hoping to achieve in our business. Next, that understanding allows us to create some strategic planning. I always say stay in your track. You're allowed to look left and right. Imagine yourself on a running track. You're allowed to see what your competitors are doing, but you're not allowed to jump that track. Stay in your lane. You can course correct if you want to, but you don't start jumping around. And so by having clarity in your understanding, the strategic planning comes in and you can decide how you're going to stay in your track. Sustainable performance. Well, this is about how we actually make that plan work for us so that we can show up consistently in our business and actually take those steps in a meaningful way. Now, that's what that's going to eventually lead to is actual long-term value. Because when we have a plan and then we're matching that up with achieving some numbers in our business and looking at the goals that we're trying to achieve, we're actually going to create some long-term value. And of course, ultimately, that's going to lead to better outcomes. Things that you can sit back, look back on and reflect. These are the steps I took. These are the results I've gained. Where do I need to course correct? And where do I continue my activity to now not just strive, but actually thrive in what I'm doing and build something meaningful long term. So, what if your greatest advantage isn't how fast you can move, but how clearly you can think? Clarity always wins over confusion. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd really appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to the channel.